Chapter 1. M's first visit to the Master. It was on a Sunday in spring, a few days after Sri Ramakrishna's birthday, that M met him the first time. Sri Ramakrishna lived at the Kali Bari, the temple garden of Mother Kali, on the bank of the Ganges at Dakshineshwar. M, being at leisure on Sundays, had gone with his friend Sidhu to visit several gardens at Barangor. As they were walking in Prasanna Banerjee's garden, Sidhu said, "There is a charming place on the bank of the Ganges where a Paramhamsa lives. Should you like to go there?" M assented, and they started immediately for the Dakshineshwar temple garden. They arrived at the main gate at dusk and went straight to Sri Ramakrishna's room. And there they found him seated on a wooden couch facing the east. With a smile on his face, he was talking of God. The room was full of people, all seated on the floor, drinking in his words in deep silence. M stood there, speechless, and looked on. It was as if he was standing where all the holy places met, and as if Shukdev himself were speaking the word of God, or as if Sri Chaitanya were singing the name and glories of the Lord in Puri with Ramananda, Swarup, and other devotees. Formalities and essentials of religion. Sri Ramakrishna said, "When hearing the name of Hari or Rama once, you shed tears and your hair stands on end, then you know for certain that you do not have to perform such devotions as the Sandhya anymore. Then only will you have a right to renounce rituals, or rather rituals will drop away of themselves. Then it will be enough if you repeat only the name of Rama or Hari, or even simply Om." Continuing, he said, "The Sandhya merges in the Gayatri and the Gayatri merges in Om." M looked around him with wonder and said to himself, "What a beautiful place! What a charming man! How beautiful his words are! I have no wish to move from this spot." After a few minutes he thought, "Let me see the place first, then I'll come back here and sit down." As he left the room with Sidhu, he heard the sweet music of the evening service arising in the temple from gong, bell, drum, and cymbal. He could hear music from the Nahabath too at the south end of the garden. The sounds travelled over the Ganges, floating away and losing themselves in the distance. A soft spring wind was blowing, laden with the fragrance of flowers. The moon had just appeared. It was as if nature and man together were preparing for the evening worship. M and Sidhu visited the 12 Shiva temples, the Radhakant temple, and the temple of Bhavtarani. And as M watched the services before the images, his heart was filled with joy. On the way back to Sri Ramakrishna's room, the two friends talked. Sidhu told M that the temple garden had been founded by Rani Rasmani. He said that God was worshipped there daily as Kali, Krishna, and Shiva, and that within the gates sadhus and beggars were fed. When they reached Sri Ramakrishna's door again, they found it shut, and Brinde, the maid, standing outside. M, who had been trained in English manners and would not enter a room without permission, asked her, "Is the holy man in?" Brinde replied, "Yes, he is in the room." M, "How long has he lived here?" Brinde, "Oh, he has been here a long time." M, "Does he read many books?" Brinde, "Books? Oh dear no, they are all on his tongue." M had just finished his studies in college. It amazed him to hear that Sri Ramakrishna read no books. M, "Perhaps it is time for his evening worship. May we go into the room? Will you tell him we are anxious to see him?" Brinde, "Go right in, children. Go in and sit down." Entering the room, they found Sri Ramakrishna alone, seated on the wooden couch. Incense had just been burnt and all the doors were shut. As he entered, M with folded hands saluted the master. Then at the master's bidding, he and Sidhu sat on the floor. Sri Ramakrishna asked them, "Where do you live? What is your occupation? Why have you come to Barangor?" M answered the questions, but he noticed that now and then the master seemed to become absent-minded. Later he learned that this mood is called bhav, ecstasy. It is like the state of the angler who has been sitting with his rod. The fish comes and swallows the bait, and the float begins to tremble. The angler is on the alert. He grips the rod and watches the float steadily and eagerly. He will not speak to anyone. Such was the state of Sri Ramakrishna's mind. Later M heard and himself noticed that Sri Ramakrishna would often go into this mood after dusk, sometimes becoming totally unconscious of the outer world. M, perhaps you want to perform your evening worship. In that case, may we take your leave? Sri Ramakrishna, still in ecstasy. No evening worship. No, it is not exactly that. After a little conversation, M saluted the master and took his leave. Come again, Sri Ramakrishna said. On his way home, M began to wonder, who is this serene-looking man who is drawing me back to him? Is it possible for a man to be great without being a scholar? How wonderful it is! I should like to see him again. He himself said, come again. I shall go tomorrow or the day after. M's second visit to Sri Ramakrishna took place on the southeast veranda at 8 o'clock in the morning. The master was about to be shaved, the barber having just arrived. As the cold season still lingered, he had put on a moleskin shawl bordered with red. Seeing M, the master said, so you have come. That's good. Sit down here. He was smiling. He stammered a little when he spoke. Sri Ramakrishna to M. Where do you live? M. In Calcutta, sir. Sri Ramakrishna. Where are you staying there? M. I am at Barangore at my older sister's Ishan Kaviraj's house. Sri Ramakrishna. Oh, at Ishan's. Well, how is Keshav now? He was very ill. M. Indeed, I have heard so too, but I believe he is well now. Master's love for Keshav. Sri Ramakrishna. I made a vow to worship the mother with green coconut and sugar on Keshav's recovery. Sometimes in the early hours of the morning I would wake up and cry before her, Mother, please make Keshav well again. If Keshav does not live, whom shall I talk with when I go to Calcutta? And so it was that I resolved to offer her the green coconut and sugar. Tell me, do you know of a certain Mr. Cook who has come to Calcutta? Is it true that he is giving lectures? Once Keshav took me on a steamer, and this Mr. Cook too was in the party. M. Yes, sir, I have heard something like that, but I have never been to his lectures. I don't know much about him. Sri Ramakrishna on M's marriage. Sri Ramakrishna. Pratap's brother came here. He stayed a few days. He had nothing to do and said he wanted to live here. I came to know that he had left his wife and children with his father-in-law. He has a whole brood of them, so I took him to task. Just fancy, he is the father of so many children. Will people from the neighborhood feed them and bring them up? He isn't even ashamed that someone else is feeding his wife and children, and that they have been left at his father-in-law's house. I scolded him very hard and asked him to look for a job. Then he was willing to leave here. Are you married? M. Yes, sir. Sri Ramakrishna with a shudder. Oh, Ramlal, alas, he is married. Like one guilty of a terrible offence, M sat motionless, his eyes fixed on the ground. He thought, is it such a wicked thing to get married? The master continued, have you any children? M this time could hear the beating of his own heart. He whispered in a trembling voice, yes, sir, I have children. Very sadly, Sri Ramakrishna said, ah me, he even has children. Thus rebuked, M sat speechless. His pride had received a blow. After a few minutes, Sri Ramakrishna looked at him kindly and said affectionately, you see, you have certain good signs. I know them by looking at a person's forehead, his eyes and so on. Tell me now, what kind of person is your wife? Has she spiritual attributes, or is she under the power of avidya? M. She is all right, but I am afraid she is ignorant. Master with evident displeasure. And you are a man of knowledge? M had yet to learn the distinction between knowledge and ignorance. Up to this time his conception had been that one got knowledge from books and schools. Later on he gave up this false conception. He was taught that to know God is knowledge, and not to know him ignorance. When Sri Ramakrishna exclaimed, and you are a man of knowledge? M's ego was again badly shocked. God with and without form. Master. Well, do you believe in God with form or without form? M, rather surprised, said to himself, how can one believe in God without form when one believes in God with form? And if one believes in God without form, how can one believe that God has a form? Can these two contradictory ideas be true at the same time? Can a white liquid like milk be black? M.